taxi ride home from AFA Singapore, but as they pronounce it, it was AFA Singapore, which I think it should be AFA. I think that's cooler, sweeter, rather than AFA. But what did I think of the con? It was probably my first time actually like taking a flight and going to a con for fun. Singapore is really close to Malaysia, so it's barely an hour flight, and you just hop on, hop off, and you're here. So to me, and plus I get to visit my brother, but to me it was no big deal. But this still would be the first con that I actually bothered to fly all the way out to attend, and I did it because I heard so many rumors of Singaporean cons being like super good and full of all these like people with like they apparently, don't hold me to that, apparently they really portfolio check you, and they really like it's pretty difficult to get into some cons, and apparently like only like super famous people can get in, or like etc, etc, just really good artists, etc. But I was disappointed. The Artist Alley was probably the most crowded Artist Alley I've ever been in my goddamn life, and I've slotted in some footage for you to see, but you know, there are times where I could barely even move. It was crowded, and I heard someone next to me say, hey, if someone's claustrophobic, they'll probably just die, right? And I was like, yeah, they would, because it's claustrophobic as hell. And it didn't get any better throughout the day. It is probably about like 3-4 o'clock now, and like it didn't get any clearer. I went to see Jun, K Junie, friend of mine that met at Hyper Japan this year, and that was pretty fun to see him again. I was again like shocked to see how small this considered Artist Alley is. Like, there were probably about 100 tables, but they were all crammed into this tiny little space at the end of the hall, which caused a massive like clog of people. And I heard that, you know, AMG Comic Fiesta has pretty bad clog issues, but being someone who's been to both of them, it's nearly not as bad as this one. At least in Comic Fiesta, it's a constant flow of people, so at least there's movement, and at least there's a large space, so you can break off from the crowd pretty easily to go look at the table. There's almost like an unspoken rule that the space in front of the tables are like a little like let people stand in front of the table so they can look at the merch and stuff like that. There's like this unspoken rule. But here it was just like, if I wanted to see a table, I would literally like have to push myself out of this massive group of people and crash land onto the table and ruin their whole display. But that's pretty much how crowded it was. And at one point I actually was pushed out of the line to make way for people who were like just barging their way through, and I nearly knocked over this person's display, and I was like, oh geez, I'm so sorry, it's just so crowded. It's so crowded. Yeah, like speaking strictly as someone who like goes to conventions just for the Artist Alleys, that one was nice. There were a lot of good artists, but it was also pretty poor in terms of organization, and it's just incredibly crowded. I felt my chest getting tight, and it was just like, it's just, sometimes it was just unbearable. Sometimes you just wanted to scream. Sometimes you just wanted to go like, oh, move! Like, scream just as loud as you can, because there is no escape, and this is hell now. You're in hell. You died and gone to hell. But all those cons aside, it was nice. I got a lot of merch ideas, as I always do. Got lots to test out, got lots to design when I get home. Saw some absolutely fantastic artists, you know, when pros and cons, the pros being that there were actually a lot of fantastic artists there. A lot of fantastic artists with amazing imagination and dedication, and tables with 100,000 charms and everything, and it was absolutely nuts. It was cool. I definitely bought a lot of charms. That was definitely like the best like merch kind of stuff. It was definitely like charms and omanjus and acrylic stands. I don't usually buy those, but I ended up buying quite a lot of them here. And I didn't buy as many prints as I would like, as everyone knows that I like prints the most, but there weren't many interesting ones to look at. They were all roughly the same, so like a lot of like girls being sexy, and I don't really need that kind of stuff in my house. Yeah, but AFA, crowded. If I could sum it up in one word, it's really, really crowded. But I'm glad I went at least once. I'm definitely not gonna go back as an attendee. Never, ever. You couldn't pay me to go. But I'll go as an artist. I would table there. I would table there for sure. Definitely bring it on. I would table there, but as an attendee, I probably would never go back. It's so crowded. I'm gonna have nightmares about this for weeks. And yeah, that's all from me. See you guys in the next video. Bye.